new NHL Entry Draft ranking has just dropped, and it is genuinely shocking. Not only does it not have the consensus top two as the top two, it has some huge names listed in the tier where the Calgary Flames will be drafting at pick number 6. If I had to see this ranking, you do too. We're going to get into all that more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to this Flames Digest family here, and let's talk about this draft ranking, because honestly, when you see it, you're gonna think, who wrote this? Or furthermore, what kind of substance was this person on? And I don't even mean that in the most hateful way, but it does come from Corey Pronman, and I do like Corey Pronman's stuff, but he is notorious for having some pretty outlandish, I guess, prospect, maybe draft-related ranking slash content. When I threw this idea out there to the, Digest Media NHL guys, that's kind of the response I got was, yeah, it is pretty wild, but that's kind of what Pronman does. He's notorious for having some just horrible takes in terms of prospects and the draft. And in a way, I get it. It just makes content better. I mean, look at this. It's more exciting to talk about when it's crazy. But at the same time, there's the other side of it as, look, are the top 10 guys who get drafted every year always that's how they are in terms of when you look at the end of their NHL careers? Oh yeah, the guy who got drafted first, he was the best. The guy second, third, and so forth. It is a gamble no matter what, but either way, these ones are quite nuts. So that's why we had to take a look at them. So today, Pronman releases his long list for the 2026 NHL Draft, showing where he stands on the top prospects in this draft class. Overall, he thinks the 2026 class is below average, led by a strong group of defensemen, but a slightly underwhelming group of top forwards. The bulk of the first round is typical, but the very top lacks premier talent. The goalie crop is quite decent, being one of the better collections of netminders since the run of first-round goalies over 5 years ago. And look, do you think I'm going to go over all 112 prospects in this video? No, of course not. You can go read the article on The Athletic. But in Tier 1, so the top 3 guys here, none of them are Gavin McKenna or Ivar Stenberg. So tier top of the lineup player, Chase Reed, is his number 1 guy, which is crazy. Yes, Reed looks really, really good, but is he the top guy going into this draft? Nuts. Number 2, Albert Smits, a guy who a lot of Flames fans would love to have on a pairing with Zane Parekh. He's number 2. And then 3, keep the defenseman going, we got Keaton Veerhoff, a guy who has disappeared from people's top tiers in terms of this draft. He goes Reed, Smits, Veerhoff for the top 3, all defensemen. I gotta be honest, when I first saw that, I was thinking, is this guy, gone off the Heinekens right now? What is going on with that? Heineken's not my choice of beer, by the way. Feel free to comment down below guessing what it is, and I'll heart your comment if you got it right. But either way, this is already bonkers. At least he saves himself with Gavin McKenna and Ivar Stenberg rounding out this kind of tier 1 with McKenna at 4 and Stenberg at 5. And look, one of them might drop in the draft depending on teams' needs. If San Jose does go for a defenseman, depending on what Chicago wants to do, even what the Leafs want to do in this case. But having these guys as the 4th and 5th best prospect going into this draft is kind of nuts. I'm just going to say it. But as we know, the Flames have the 6th pick. So according to this, does that mean that they won't get any of these 5 guys, but kind of have their pick of the litter for the rest of them? It's kind of nuts to think about all these names that we've been linking to Calgary over the past little bit. You think of Malhotra, you think of Carols, who I've made a couple videos on, love making content about that guy, maybe a Vigo Bjork, some of these other centers down the list like a Tynan Lawrence. Well, I can say that in terms of tier 2, there are a couple of those guys right away. So these guys, to Pronman, are bubble top and middle of the lineup players, which is kind of nuts. So essentially just saying a top 9 forward or, a top 4 defenseman in a way, if they're even going to make that top line or top D pairing. So in 6th, he has Caleb Malhotra, which is interesting. As we know, the Flames currently have the number 6 overall pick. A lot of Flames fans would be super happy with Malhotra. He looks absolutely insane. Incredible playoffs, obviously. A very good regular season. Just shot up these draft boards. Probably the best center, or best pure center, we can say, going into this. So I'm not upset to see Malhotra here at 6. At 7, Carroll's as well, which is another guy who I personally would love it if the Flames drafted him. Yeah, I would love a forward for sure. I wish there were more top-end centers in this draft, but Carroll's seems awesome. I'd be so happy to have him. He arguably, to myself and so many other people, is the top defenseman going into this draft. You get Dax and Rudolph there too. Don't know loads about him, but I'm more focused on 6 and 7 in terms of that one. But like I said, there's more players that we've had our eyes on. Where the heck do they end up in these rankings? Well, if you head all the way to 13, there's another name that a lot of Flames fans have their eyes on, and that's Ethan Belchitz, who obviously looks very, very good. This stuff here, you know, you got Casey Mutrin, not too sure, in at 12. You got Gleb Pugachev in at 14. Had to keep that because what a name that is. But the name focusing on here is Belchitz. He, obviously, unbelievable amount of points this year. A lot of people would love to draft him. But all the way down at 13, you're almost hoping, oh my goodness, he could drop to our Vegas pick after they apparently are going to win the cup or something. They're probably going to get steamrolled by the Avs if that does end up happening. Not ideal if the if the Golden Knights make it to the Western Conference Final, then lose in terms of the Flames picks. But they don't want to do us any favors. Anyway, going further down the list at 15 is another name that a lot of people have their eyes on, and it's a Vigo Bjork. 15 is where he ends up here. So many people think this guy could not only be a top 10 pick, but a top 5 pick. And it's kind of nuts. His statistics this season are absolutely unreal. Sure, a little bit undersized, but he is more of just a pure center, which is obviously needed. Right shot as well, which a lot of Flames fans want, especially Mr. Craig Conroy himself. So Vigo Bjork, to see him that low is quite crazy. Almost hoping he's doing this so that people value him less, and then the Flames really do have their pick of all these great guys. Tynan Lawrence, another one, a center, so a lot of people want to see that. Really fell down the draft boards quite a bit this year, but still, honestly, has quite a lot of potential. Obviously, he hasn't even been drafted yet, but interesting to see him there. Another guy, Suvanto, who I know a lot of people have also commented on this channel about. Not necessarily with the number 6 pick, but maybe with Vegas's pick could pick him up. But seeing him at 17 is interesting as well. And no matter what, looking at these draft rankings was completely bonkers, to be honest. Again, the biggest thing, this is actually how I found this, was on Twitter, was from this guy here. But he shows McKenna 4th, Stenberg 5th, and just looking kind of puzzled and angry in a way, like obviously the photo there. So overall, very strange stuff. I had to share it with you guys. Honestly, a shocking draft report here from Pronman. A genuinely shocking report is not even anywhere close to clickbait. This is genuinely shocking. I couldn't believe it when I saw it and had to share it with you guys. But of course, let me know what you think down below. Now, the other thing we're going to talk about is a potential trade. And I got to be honest, I threw this in there because someone threw it to me as a little video idea. And it's really all not that much of an update, but Darren Dreger had the most enlightening thing to say. We never would have thought it, but he was talking about the Flames. He said, I think they're definitely in the market for a younger forward that fits their age dynamic. Wow. Who the heck saw that coming? I mean, that's just been Craig Conroy during his entire tenure. Remember Dylan Cousins? But overall, it is quite true. Now, looking at the comments of this tweet, a lot of people had some suggestions. So one person here says, I'd take Maverick Bourque before Wright. In my opinion, Shane Wright he's talking about. In my opinion, he's more appealing and well-rounded, better experience too. And yeah, we'd love a Maverick Bourque. Shane Wright fits that as well, but are we going to make a huge trade for either? I'm not too sure. Another person says, what names are potentially on the market? Shane Wright, Matvei Michkov, Ken Johnson, Bourque, Mason McTavish, Olin Zellweger. Who else? What kind of offer would it take to get Fantilli with CBJ cap issues? Now, it would cost an arm and a leg and potentially your second arm in order to acquire Fantilli. But yeah, all those names are kind of out there. Maybe some are more realistically on the market than not. I'd love to have any of those guys, obviously, but not for the price that any of those teams would be asking for. Another person says Shane Wright would be a terrific fit here in terms of what Calgary would need down the road. A 1-2 punch down the middle of Reshny and Wright is pretty great. And that is true. That is quite nice. I'm almost hoping we do get our 1C of the future next year's draft. Another person says easier said than done. Gotta agree there. A couple more here. One person says Nick Robertson for Blake Coleman. I mean, I'm assuming that's a joke because we all know Blake Coleman is way more value than Nick Robertson at this point. But either way, I would obviously prefer Jason Robertson, but that would never happen in a million years. But I don't think the Leafs are going to trade for Coleman and give up Robertson. I just see that almost as a lose-lose trade on both sides. Another person says Nick Robertson, no. Another person says Shane Wright. Another person says Howard for Cooley done. I would never do that unless you're talking about Jimmy Howard, of course. Remember that name? Blast from the past, goalie for goalie. But no, I'm assuming means Howard from the Oilers. We do not want to give the Oilers a goaltender. Why the heck would we ever do that? Pretty sure that person is an Oilers fan, so it makes sense. But we would not do that. Anyway, just wanted to throw that out there for you guys. Let's wrap this one up with the comment of the day, as we love to do here on the channel. It comes from yesterday's video, of course. Kind of a short and sweet one here, but it's just true about the defensive potentials. Wheel of Time says Karels Perek would be the next Taves Makar. As we know, Taves Makar, probably the best D pairing in the entire National Hockey League. Should have won Team Canada a gold medal. Weren't able to do that, but they're carrying Colorado right now. Karels Perek could genuinely be the second coming of that. You got your offensive smooth skating guy, Perek and Makar, and then you got your more defensive guy that can really chip in offensively, be that third wave in Karels/Taves. Would love to see that for the future, but then we'd obviously have to get the offense, or at least the forwards, sorted as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to what you saw here today and have a wonderful rest of your day.